In this video, I want to give you a tour of the detailed plans for an access ramp or wheelchair ramp that I designed for this course. There's no shortage of general drawings about ramps on the internet and other places, but there are very few that provide the kind of details you need to actually build one. And that's what this plan is all about. Everything's been thought through, all the parts fit together in a logical way, and everything you need to know to build a proper access ramp is right here. These plans are printable, so you can get a hard copy and take it to your building site. This video is all about just a tour of the details that you'll want to know about. So, starting with the foundation. I'm showing two different approaches here. Right here we have the concrete pier approach, which is what I recommend for decks in general. And that's the kind of thing you'd want to use if your access ramp was going to be completely permanent. Not all ramps are. Sometimes you know that the person living in the house might be there another 4, 5, 6 years, and you don't necessarily want to have the ramp there all the time. So getting rid of concrete piers after the fact is kind of difficult, but that's why I've included this option here, where the wooden post extends all the way into the ground, and it's resting on some concrete that's been blooped down into the hole after it was dug, just as a solid footing, maybe 5 or 6 inches deep. The beauty of this is that if you do want to take the ramp apart, you can just pull those posts out. A machine could, any kind of a machine with a loader could grip onto the top and pull it out, and you fill in the hole, and it's basically disappeared. So, two different foundation options to consider. One of the main features of any ramp is the slope, of course, and you need to get that right. Down here you'll see the maximum slope. So the steepest that an access ramp can be is this ratio of 1 to 12. So 12 units of horizontal run for every 1 unit of vertical rise. That's as steep as a ramp can be by law in most places. If you've got the room, then it's better to spread that out a little bit and have it even shallower. 1 in 20 is a very nice slope, very safe, and these are the numbers that kind of inform everything else that you do as you're building your ramp. Another major part of the ramp is the landing. Most ramps need a landing because there's just not enough room to extend a landingless ramp out in any straight direction. So this allows you to turn corners. It also makes it safer too, because the slope is broken up by at least one landing, which can make things safer. The landing is very important because it's got to be quite solid. In this particular illustration, you can see there's the downward ramp is resting against the landing. This upward side that goes down to the ground level is also resting on the side. So you need to invest some effort to making it solid. So we've got some 6x6 posts here. That's what I recommend for everywhere on the design. You could get by with something smaller, like a 4x4 maybe, but it's quite a jump down. The 6x6 is necessary though, so that you can cut these notches here. There's a notch here on this face of this post, and there's also a notch on the other side. And that allows you to install some what I call perimeter joists here in this design. Because the joists aren't just bolted to the side of the post, but they're actually inset. They're resting on a ledge of wood down here, and that makes it very strong. So you can see the same sort of thing here from the top. So we have the posts, there's one here and one here, and you can see the perimeter joists. This is one here, and this is another one here, and they're let in, as the carpenters say, they're let into a notch in the side of the posts, and that makes a very solid platform from which to build the rest of the ramp. Now turn your attention to the bottom of the ramp, so the place where it would rest on the ground. There's a couple of things going on here you need to know about. You don't just want the edges of these ramp joists to rest directly on the soil. I mean, it's going to look fine at first, but it is also going to sink slowly into the ground. Things usually do, unless they have some kind of a proper base. And in this case, that is these patio slabs here. You're going to need at least two, probably three, to get the width you need. If I was building one of these, I'd use what's called foundation slabs, which are thicker than patio slabs, maybe twice as thick. And they're reinforced, so they're quite strong, and they're meant for resting heavy things onto the soil. So there's the reason these patio slabs don't extend all the way to the tapered end of the ramp is because if they did, you wouldn't be able to drive deck screws down through the deck boards into the joists, because the screws would go through this thin part of the ramp joists and wouldn't have any place to go because it would be hitting the masonry. So the patio slabs don't go all the way to the end. I do recommend a piece of pressure-treated wood along the bottom here to kind of tie everything together, to tie all the ramp joists together. But leave the very tapered end unsupported by anything but the ground so that those deck screws can extend down through. You'll probably also have to use some construction adhesive on here because there's not a lot of wood for those screws to bite into once they've gone through the deck boards. And you'll need to secure that properly at the bottom end. Another thing I'd like to turn your attention to are the fascia boards. So that's these boards here that define the side of the ramp. If you look at the top view, you can see that the fascia boards extend in a continuous line. In this case, that's the side of the ramp, and it meshes nicely with the fascia board on the landing, and it just kind of wraps around, and it creates a nice final edge. And the way the framing is structured, it is a continuous run from the side of the ramp here to the side of the landing. Now, one other thing to notice here, the reason I designed it this way was so that we would have room for the joist hangers to support the ramp joists. So this is the top view here, and this little angled piece here is the top view of the edge of a joist hanger, which is a metal bracket that supports joists in applications like this. If this joist was all the way out to the edge, we wouldn't be able to secure this side of the joist hangers. But by insetting it, we've got a nailing surface here and a nailing surface here for the joist hangers, and we still get the nice continuous run along the sides. So it all works out nicely, and there's no wasted wood. It just works out perfectly, and you get a nice smooth looking edge. Another thing to pay attention to now as you're understanding the design is the railings. The support posts for the railings extend right down to the foundation, either the top of the concrete pier or all the way down into the ground. And that continuous post is very important for a solid railing. The design here has two horizontal or sort of horizontal members. There's the top handrail, and many ramps just call it a day there without anything extra. But having the mid-rail makes things safer. It's not like there's a whole lot of danger of anyone going through underneath that handrail, but why take the chance for an extra, a few lengths of 2x4 applied to the outside of the posts? You've got a nice, safer arrangement like that too. While you're looking at the railing, take a look here too. This board here, this is the top edge of the fascia board, the 2x12 fascia board. And notice how it extends up higher than the deck boards. This is a requirement in a lot of places so that nothing can ever roll off the edge of the ramp. The rim is there to contain any wheels or crutches or walker legs that might get too close to the edge. It's just not going to fall off. And that's why the fascia needs to be as wide as it is. Now, there are lots of other details in the plans here. If you're going to go ahead and build a ramp at your place, it will, by definition, be a kind of custom job because every house, every lot is a little bit different. The plans here give you the building blocks of what you need to know in order to do that customizing for your situation. But if you run into any issues, just contact me. We'll figure things out together following these plans, but maybe we'll have to come up with a few modified details, and that's what I'm here for. So feel free to contact me.